what you asked for Christmas or holiday the year you were 12? I do. While my friends were begging their parents for Gerbo jeans and Sony Walkmans, I pled for my mother to bring me a Franklin Day planner. I might have been the only 12-year-old in history, but it was a real goal, and I had high anticipation. And on Christmas morning, I opened up a box of success goodness. My friends were walking around the neighborhood, donning a label over their zipper and listening to cassette tapes and almost obsolete technology. I was writing a mission statement, prioritizing to-do lists, and getting very organized. This was not a phase I grew out of. In fact, I had a paper planner all through high school and college, only taking a brief break for a Palm Pilot, speaking of obsolete. But I've read all the books, and I could plaster walls and small communities with all the personal development books I've read. Things like SMART goals and planning and productivity and purpose and having a high positive outlook on life all became tools and mantras for me to live a high performance life. And then people said, well, why don't you come and teach us your things? Because I started using these tricks to start businesses and start a family and grow in my career and be successful in marriage after I failed the first one, of course. That was just a starter. But now as we move into teaching corporations and organizations about high performance and success, now we start to have a real conversation about what really matters. And then people would come to me afterwards and say, thank you, this is great. Do you have a book? And I didn't. And I would recommend books by the 3 C's, Covey, Canfield, and Christensen. And then the time came for me to write my own book. I self-published it at first, and then later it got picked up by a national publisher, not one of the top 10 out of New York, but I still got international distribution, and my book was available on Barnes & Noble, and at Target, and at Amazon, and it never quite did what I wanted it to do. Turns out, if you want to be number one, even in just your category, do not launch a book the same time as Tony Robbins. But in this book that I came to know and love and put all of my success principles in, there's one chapter that I love the most on positivity. Now, in the book, I talk about how being positive can actually make you more successful, that looking on the bright side will help you succeed in your goals. While I still believe this to be true, I figured something out after my book launched, because the book launch came and went, and then I sat there and thought, now what? I've worked on the book for 6 years, and anticipation, excitement, and thrill, and then it comes and goes, and then it's down. And over the last 12 months, I've kind of wandered a little, wondering what really mattered, not knowing what to write about next or what to work on next. And then I learned something really powerful, that while positivity is important, actually just pursuing our goals and our dreams makes us happier regardless of the outcome. We live in a world with millions of self-help books and unknown numbers of success coaches, yet 90% of the world still reports feeling unfulfilled. Why is that? Does the world really wear us down? Does reality really sink in? I'm sure we could pass around the microphone and we could share with each other our tales of personal woe. Statistically speaking, in this room, we have people who are divorced, caring for aging parents, caring for kids with disabilities. We also have people who are struggling financially, people who are trying to figure out how to overcome loneliness and even just paying the bills. Our problems are real. But how can our dreams and everyday despair coexist? In 2012, a think tank called the World Happiness Report surveyed individuals in 156 countries all over the world, something they continue to do, and they report back every spring to the United Nations with their findings. They ask individuals in their own language to evaluate their life on a ladder, where 0 represents the worst life possible and 10 represents the best life possible. Now, before we go into the findings, I want you to answer that question for yourself. On a scale from 0 to 10, how would you rate your current life, where 0 represents the worst possible life and 10 represents the best possible life? Now let's dive into the findings. It was hypothesized that those from countries like America that have stronger economies and more technological advances would have higher levels of satisfaction than those from underdeveloped countries. Or would it be the other way around? I was surprised to find that across every economy, every country, and every culture, the findings were evenly distributed, and the median answer was 5. Just 5. And as I think about these findings, as we evaluate whether or not we consider our life to be wonderful or great, it doesn't matter what our opportunities are. I believe that where there's a lack of purpose, there's a lack of progress. Where there's a lack of progress, there's a lack of happiness. See, inside each of us, we have this inherent, innate need to want to progress. We want to do more. We want to be more. We want to have more. And yet, we wander around saying, well, this is the way life really is. Could be better, could be worse. I'm a 5. Now, I was raised by an eternal optimist. She had happiness quotes plastered all around our house, and she wore the Chinese character for happiness all around her neck. And she would talk to us all the time about how looking on the bright side is the most important. And understanding her reality made that very valuable to me as an adult. She was a single, divorced mother, caring for 4 kids, and my youngest brother has Asperger's syndrome. And the world teaches us about the optimist and the pessimist. The world teaches us that the pessimist looks on the bad side, and the realist sees things as they really are, and the optimist looks on the bright side. And as I became an adult, I started to feel like being the optimist wasn't enough. The challenges that were coming my way seemed to be only dealt for people that had stronger abilities, stronger skins, and yet I craved happiness. And then I realized there was something more, called the happiest, Happyist. The happiest doesn't just look on the bright side, the happiest is the bright side. They're the ones going after their goals and the dreams. They're the ones looking around for people who want to do the same and helping make their dreams a reality. The happiest is the way. Happiness is not the destination, it's a practice. And all too often, we put that at the end of what we want to achieve. I'll be happy when I get that promotion. I'll be happy when I publish the book. I'll be happy when I lose that 10 pounds or 20. But until we realize that happiness is the way, we're missing the point. But as we go about doing the things in our souls that we really care about, not the things that we should do, but the things that we want to do, because with the challenges that we have, wouldn't it be possible that if we all were going after our hopes and dreams, and if they were preserving us even in the midst of our challenge, that our realities could be enveloped by the things that we care about in our hearts? And maybe, just maybe, reality isn't why we're here in this human existence. Maybe reality is the distraction for who we're meant to be and what we are meant to feel. The happiest is the only way to live. And while I was a little bit confused about it as a child, wondering as an adult if I could really make that happen, I realized that my mom was the happiest. She was being the bright side for us. She was being the bright side for other people in the midst of her challenges, and she survived some of the hardest things because of her outlook. She just didn't know it then. She didn't know that she was the happiest. But now, if you're hearing this, you do. And you know, and you can become this in your everyday lives. And as I've thought about this even more, I start to get excited. And companies have been calling me not to talk about high performance in the height of my high performance book launch. They're asking me to talk about happiness because they know that it's about more than productivity and planning. It's about the things that we feel that matter in our businesses, in our homes, and in our personal lives. And now I know what to write about next. Don't live like a 5. You have one life. Make it the happiest.